Daniel Ricciardo's departure from McLaren may not have been surprising news to finish Formula 1 summer break, but it is a key step in the silly season. So Daniel Ricciardo is leaving McLaren, but what's next for the 8-time race winner? Let's get started on today's topic. But before we dive in, where would you like to see Ricciardo end up? Does he even have a future in F1? Could he still fight for podiums in something like an Alpine? Or is he destined to drive for another midfield team, or even perhaps a backmarker? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. We'd love to hear your opinions. McLaren and Ricciardo met behind closed doors over the summer to finalise the conditions of his exit at the end of the season, with 1 year remaining on his contract. It's a low-key conclusion to one of the most high-profile F1 movements in recent memory, bringing an end to a generally miserable period for Ricciardo at McLaren, who will now aim to swap one Australian for another by luring Oscar Piastri away from Alpine. Ricciardo is also considering his options for the future. He's a free agent in a driver market with relatively few suitable positions available in 2023. Despite his failures over the last 2 years, he's still one of the most appealing alternatives for teams in need of a driver. So what are Ricciardo's options for remaining on the F1 grid next year? Alpine. Given the circumstances that led to Ricciardo's departure from Renault at the conclusion of 2020 to join McLaren, a return just 2 years later would have looked inconceivable. However, given the manner in which the recent situation has unfolded, in which Alpine may have allowed both Piastri and Fernando Alonso to slide through its fingers in a matter of weeks, a reunion may be a marriage of convenience for both parties, a chance to show everyone who dismissed them wrong. It's worth noting that a lot has changed at Enstone since Ricciardo's last visit, and it goes beyond the team name and car colour. The administration of Renault's works F1 business has also been overhauled. Cyril Abiteboul, Alain Prost and Marcin Budkowski have all left, with Otmar Safnauer as team principal and Laurent Rossi as Alpine CEO now in charge. It would make a prospective Ricciardo comeback more appealing to those who were disappointed by his surprise departure in 2020. He would also provide a bit of sparkle and star power to the team's lineup, which has been missing since Alonso's departure, as well as a lot of marketing appeal, which would be invaluable as Renault attempts to build the Alpine brand. Alpine is unquestionably Ricciardo's most competitive choice in the foreseeable future. The team is presently 4th in the constructors' rankings and has been more consistent recently than McLaren. Surprisingly, it might represent a step up the competitive order for Ricciardo, as well as a move to a works outfit. However, it should be noted that Piastri is still Alpine's planned driver for 2023. Safnauer has claimed that Alpine is willing to go to court, underlining how eager the team is to field the defending F2 champion next year, after investing so extensively in his development throughout his junior career. It could be a lengthy case, which means Ricciardo may be stuck waiting to see how things go for Piastri if Alpine is his primary choice. The fates once again entangled. Alfa Romeo. With all of the top slots taken, Alfa Romeo appears to be the best choice for Ricciardo. The team signed Valtteri Bottas to a multi-year contract that began this season, leaving only one open seat for next year, which is currently held by Zhou Guanyu. Zhou has surprised the entire F1 paddock with his rookie season performances, scoring a point on debut in Bahrain and consistently finishing around the outside of the points. Alfa Romeo has a 1-year option on his services for next year, and there's little reason to believe that will not be executed. However, when a driver like Ricciardo enters the market, it is tough not to pay attention. It is understood that an agreement has been reached for Audi's F1 entrance to take place through Sauber, which operates the Alfa Romeo team, beginning in 2026, providing a significant boost to the Swiss team's future. So could Alfa Romeo be Ricciardo's best long-term option? Ricciardo would be 36 by the time an Audi F1 team has taken to the grid for the first time, so committing now on the assumption that he'd be around for the German manufacturer's entrance would be a reach. Even in the near term, Sauber may provide the necessary change for Ricciardo. We've seen how the move has revitalized Bottas, allowing him to enjoy F1 more than ever before, and feel he has a stronger role. It would also be a significant statement for Alfa Romeo to field 2 race winners. It all depends on how far forward Ricciardo wants to look, and whether he's willing to continue battling in the midfield while Hinwil lays the groundwork for a more competitive future. Haas. Ricciardo's departure from Red Bull for Renault seems like a step back in 2019. So, would he perform a similar stunt and join one of the smallest teams on the grid for next year? Flashes of speed this year demonstrate Haas's growth under the new restrictions, revitalizing Kevin Magnussen's career and even bringing out some nice performances from Mick Schumacher. However, the disparity between the two has made Schumacher's future questionable, especially as Ferrari has no say over the seat now held by its leading youngster. Haas would lack the financial clout that other teams may give Ricciardo, but it is thought that the payoff from McLaren will remain intact regardless of the circumstances of any potential 2023 deal. It means that the financials may be less of a deal breaker for Ricciardo, urging him to take a chance on a lesser outfit like Haas. A pillow contract is a term used in sports. It's a situation in which players sign a one-year contract with a smaller operation, generally on favorable terms, with no longer-term commitment on either side. An arrangement like this would allow Ricciardo and Haas to get to know each other and evaluate how things fit without any long-term commitments. If it works, terrific. If not, both parties can consider alternatives for 2024. Given his prior changes, Ricciardo will undoubtedly seek stability, but if no better options are available, Haas may not be the worst place to end up. Williams would be subject to a similar principle. The squad has recently emerged from a slump and become more competitive, aided by the financial stability provided by its new owner, Dorilton Capital. However, it is still a long way from being the regular force it once was. Dorilton is trying to capitalize on its US reputation, making Logan Sargent, an American F2 driver, a potential possibility for next year if he can sustain his recent form. Nonetheless, given his appearance in Drive to Survive and fondness for American culture, Ricciardo is undoubtedly the most marketable driver in the United States. It would be a significant signing for the new owners, probably the largest for Williams since it signed Felipe Massa in 2014 following his Ferrari exit, which is saying a lot, and would serve as a message for the team's future. Ricciardo would certainly consider Williams as a last alternative, but if the team is willing to stump up the cash and commit to build around him in the future, it may become an option he considers. Ricciardo claims the decision was reached after many months of conversations with McLaren executives Zak Brown and Andreas Seidel, and that he will announce his future plans soon. It's been a privilege to be part of the McLaren racing family for the last 2 seasons, but following several months of discussions with Zak and Andreas, we have decided to terminate my contract with the team early and agreed to mutually part ways at the end of this season, Ricciardo said in a team statement. I will be announcing my own future plans in due course, but regardless of what this next chapter brings, I have no regrets, and I'm proud of the effort and work I gave McLaren, especially the win in Monza last season. I've enjoyed working with everyone at McLaren both trackside and back in Woking, and will be giving my all on and off track as we enjoy the remainder of the season together. I've never been more motivated to compete and be part of a sport that I love so much, and look forward to what comes next. One thing is sure, and that is that Ricciardo is not willing to hang up his boots. He definitely is looking for a new seat for next year, and it seems like Alpine could be a reunion the Aussie driver just needs. But if that doesn't happen, he most likely has some other options. Which option do you think is the most promising for Ricciardo? Let us know in the comments below. For now, we'll have to wait and see what the man with the biggest smile on the grid will decide for the 2023 season. And when something new happens, you can be sure we'll cover it for you. So subscribe to the channel to stay updated with all the latest news.